Season 5 of Babylon 5. Wow. What a mixed bag. Right off the bat, I think for me, this is the weakest season of the series. It has a lot of ups and downs. So we start out with, and obviously spoilers for seasons 1 through 5. And I'm going to be talking about how the show ends. So I'm still recommending the show because I absolutely love the show. It's one of those instances where even though season 5 isn't as good as the other 4, but because I love these characters so much, and it does have a lot of really good episodes, I think that it's still worthwhile. It doesn't like crash and burn. It's not like it's not a show breaking season by any means, because the characters are just again very incredible, even when the story around them isn't that great. So I think the season, like the first quarter of the season, is about the Psy War, and I hated all the stuff with Byron. I hated most of it. Like this guy that looks like Fabio, and no offense to the actor, but I didn't care for the story around him and his people. It almost felt like a cult. Like I expected these cult members to turn, and they, in a way, they sort of do, but it was just out of necessity. I thought like they would secretly end up being evil because they were creepy. It's like his cult that followed him around didn't like speak up a whole lot. It's like Byron did a whole lot of the speaking, and it's like, yeah, I get that he's their leader and everything, but they're just very like in the background, very silent people. Like he has to introduce them and talk about their backstory and whatever. Like they couldn't do it themselves, and he's there because he wants like a safe haven for his people, and he's trying to get away from the Psy Corps, and Babylon 5 is neutral ground, and it of course starts to create problems with the Psy Corps and Bester, and eventually Lita gets pulled into it. And I get Lita's motivation. Like Lita has been getting screwed over quite a bit, and that's like my big negative with some of the other characters is how they treat Lita as just like something that can be used. And even the Vorlons did that, throughout the Shadow War. And yeah, I get that the Shadow War was kind of a necessity. Like everybody needed to get involved with that because it was such a big deal. But especially when the Earth War came around, it felt like she wasn't that appreciated. It's like she lost her place because she couldn't pay the rent, and then eventually had to sell her body to the Psy Corps. And it's like nobody helped her out. It's like if anybody deserved help, it was Lita, and she didn't get it. And of course, she's pissed. And I didn't care for the romance with Byron. Like I get why she would want to join his people because it's her people too. And I love that she becomes like this character that is like scary. Like she's scary throughout the last half of the season because she's so goddamn powerful. And I really liked that because she was sort of a wild card. Like you didn't know what she would do to these people who she once considered friends, and you're not sure like what term she's on. It's like there's a scene where Garibaldi goes to talk to her near the end of the season, and you're not sure how she's going to receive him. But it's like they've got a common goal and a common enemy and are able to work things out. But I think the stuff with the Byron and his cult 90% of the time didn't work for me. Like I really hated that storyline, and I was ready for it to be over. The last episode that wraps up that arc, where Byron literally gets engulfed by an explosion and Bester shows up, like that was probably the strongest episode in the Psy War story arc. And it's not that they wrapped up the Star Wars story arc with that. I kind of wish they would have gone bigger. And the show has gone bigger before, so it's like I don't want to hear the excuse that, oh, they didn't have the budget for it, because like the Shadow War stuff had a lot of big scale fights, and I would have liked to have seen something like that for the Psy War because I thought that would be really interesting. But overall, I didn't care for that story. I think what this season does best is that it has little moments that are great. Like, I think my favorite part of the season was having Jakar and Londo be buddies. Londo is in line to be the Emperor, and this is a great storyline. It's a storyline they've been building up for the entire show, and having Jakar be Londo's bodyguard sets up for a lot of really great character moments, and it's hilarious too. Like having those two together, former enemies, former bitter enemies, is a terrific idea. I've been wanting that since they first appeared on screen together, and I loved it. It was my favorite part of the season, and seeing that throughout was really great, and seeing them become friends was really incredible. And just those two actors just work so well together. And of course, we have somebody missing from this season. Ivanova goes missing, and it's because Babylon 5 at the end of season 4 went from one network to another. Claudia Christensen, I guess, had some sort of obligation to another project, and they couldn't wait up for her. So it's like, I really wish that they would have, I don't know, just written something for Ivanova to do for like however long Claudia Christensen had to be gone. But I guess maybe that wouldn't have served the story. And so they brought in a new character played by Tracy Scoggins. And this character is Captain Lockley, and she sort of takes over the station, which is what Ivanova was going to do. And I've been excited for this character to appear because I do like Tracy Scoggins as an actress. I loved her in Lois and Clark, and I like her as this character. I think I was disappointed though because I expected her to be in it a lot more. Like, I mean, she's like the biggest head on the DVD cover, and she's only really in half the episodes. Like, I really wanted to see more of her and to learn more about her because she's a new character, she's a new card. And I love the idea of Sheridan appointing somebody who was kind of on the opposite side during the Earth War. And the episodes that feature her are good. Like, I like her character, and I like how she evolves throughout the season, and we get to learn more about her. I just, we would have gotten more of that. And I know it's hard to do with an ensemble show, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I was disappointed by not getting to see more of her. And I feel like the strongest episode for her was definitely the Day of the Dead episode. And the episode where she helps Garibaldi with his alcoholism was good as well. And I thought it was odd that it was written that she was Sheridan's ex-wife. And that's how they know each other. Like, I thought it would have been a better idea had she like saved his life during the Minbari War. But it's not awful. But overall, Tracy Scoggins as Captain Lockley is cool, and I know she plays a bigger part in Crusade and is going to be in a couple of the movies that I'm going to watch. But overall, I thought that her character could have appeared more. Now, the strongest part of the season is the last quarter. Like, the last 6 to 7 episodes are really great. Like, it's top notch, and it was a breath of fresh air after having some bad episodes and some so-so episodes. But it deals more with Londo's rise to power and his adventures with Jakar, which I really loved, and this Drakh mystery, which they don't really wrap up at the end of the show. And I'm hoping that it'll be either resolved in River of Souls or A Call to Arms, which I suspect that it'll do one of those. So I thought that was really compelling, and then just like having a couple of episodes felt like a goodbye to her, and I got emotional. Like, I was sad to see everybody go, and it's like at the end of the episode before the last, you see like this new cast of characters that are sort of taking on the roles that the older characters have left behind. And I was wondering if, I know that JMS wanted to symbolize that, life goes on, that stuff on Babylon 5 is still going to happen even when all of our main characters are gone. But I was wondering if maybe he set that up for a potential season 6. But I love the idea of Talon taking over for Jakar, and I love the idea of adding number 1 to the main cast. I'm sad that I'm probably not going to get to see that. I don't know if they're going to do that any of the movies I'm about to watch, because I got 4 movies and Crusade to watch after this. But the finale, was great. It was really sad. It was bittersweet because, well, one, it's like Sheridan has been dying for the past 20 years because of what Lorianne did to him. Gave him an extra 20 years. But it was just sad because it's like I started this show at the beginning of the year, and I am sad that it's pretty much over. Like, yeah, I've got 4 movies to watch. I've got River of Souls, A Call to Arms, Legends of the Rangers, Lost Tales, and then Crusade. Not particularly in that order, but the show's done. Like, for me, like, I won't be able to watch anything else I won't be able to watch Babylon 5 for the first time anymore. It's like I've experienced the show. And I'm happy to say it's one of my favorite shows. And it's like after, the final scene with Sheridan and the episode ended, it's like I had to watch something funny because I felt like, I felt really sad that it was over. And I'm glad the show ended on a strong note because season 5 overall was pretty weak. It's not like season 4 of Angel where I would almost skip it all altogether when I do go back and rewatch the show, because this is a show I could see myself revisiting, especially like sharing it with friends and family and trying to get try to convert other fans to the show. But overall, I think season 5 is a mixed bag. I think I definitely agree with most fans that this is probably the weakest season. And I'll do a ranking of each season at some point, but I think that I can definitely say that this is the weakest one. There's some good episodes here and there. It's not terrible, but I think after all the big events of season 3 and 4, it is interesting in a way to see like what happens after that, because the big events of season 3 and 4, most shows would just end because it's like, well, we can't get any bigger than that, so we're just done. So in a way, it is ballsy to do that. So Babylon 5, season 5. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Comment below. Let me know of your thoughts of the show overall. Again, I haven't watched River of Souls, Call to Arms, Legends of the Rangers, Lost Tales, or Crusade, so please, no spoilers for those. Thanks as always for watching. Bye.